Hi guys, welcome to Multiverse. Today we are going to take a look at our friend Cyborg. It is a video that I've been meaning to make for a long time, but I was still missing a few parts for the Cyborg Style from the Teen Titans DLC. I kind of missed out the Teen Titans DLC when it was first released, and I had some catching up to do, and it took me way too long to be able to catch up a bit. But tonight's the night, let's take a look at our friend Cyborg. So here you can see a look that is very close to the original look that our friend Cyborg used to have. For the material, I'm using the shimmer material. Yes, oh, Crypto is trying to get our attention. Oh, Portico. So this is pretty darn close to our friend Cyborg as he originally was created. And I'm using the shimmer material to be able to get a nice shiny metallic look for our friend Cyborg. For the headpiece, I'm using the Cybernetic Headpiece. Sadly, the only way you can get the Cybernetic Headpiece is pretty much from the broker. This comes from the Prometheum lock boxes, but the odds of getting the one style you need from the Prometheum lock boxes are so slim. You have no choice. You have to buy it from the broker. If you want to have anything from those styles, you have to buy it from the broker. Evil Crypto. And for the tank top, any tank top would do the trick once you put the material on top of it. Doesn't matter what tank top you use. For the hands, I'm using the retro hands. The belt is the armor detective belt, the Robin belt. For the shorts, I'm using the briefs. And the boots are the vengeance boots. And for the aura, I went with the mechanized aura. It works well with the character. Obviously, the character shouldn't have an aura, but if you're going to have an aura with a cybernetic type character, the mechanized aura is a good choice to go. For the hands, there's also the Cyborg glove gun that you can use. It's a hand blaster style that you can get that is directly inspired by our friend Cyborg. I have to admit, I completely forget where I got this. Odds are I purchased it from the broker. Again, I was trying to suggest just buy it from the broker. So again, the opalescent material works well with our friend Cyborg to recreate this sort of white metal look that our friend had. It almost looks more like plastic, but it works well enough. For that piece, I didn't use the opalescent material because otherwise it would lose the eye of the character. So here's the Cybernetic Style that is directly inspired by our friend Cyborg. Not just inspired, directly taken from Cyborg. Again, it comes from the Prometheum lock boxes. Sadly, the only way you can really get this style is to buy it from the broker. Again, you can hope to get lucky with the Prometheum lock boxes, but there's like 800 different styles in the lock boxes. So the odds of getting the one style that you really want, it is so slim that there's no way you're going to be able to get it. So again, you have to pretty much bite the bullet, and you have to buy it from the broker. Of course, obviously, once you purchase it for one character on the broker, then you could use replay badges to purchase it for other characters if you want to. Although, as you saw, there's a lot of different textures in the style. If you want to have a unified texture, sadly you have no choice but to use a material. Again, here I'm using the opalescent material. Sadly, as you can see for the headpiece, we lose the eye and we lose the shiny bit in the forehead, or even the shiny bit on the chest piece and the belt for that matter. So it works well enough to give us a nice cyborg look, but we're going to take a look at another option that maybe works a bit better. Just to be on the safe side, in case you cannot get the opalescent material, because it is fairly pricey on the Quarks vendor, you could use the shimmer material. Again, it looks pretty cool looking with our friend Cyborg. I guess the silver material could do the trick, but I prefer this material because of the way it shines. It really enhances the look quite a bit. Although with the Teen Titans DLC, we got a new Cyborg set of gear. As you can see, it is quite different from the one we got from the Prometheum log boxes. This is inspired by a more recent look for our friend Cyborg, from what I understand. I have to admit, since the New 52, I haven't been reading comics as much as I used to. So I seem to recall seeing this look, but I couldn't tell you exactly where it comes from. It's a pretty nice looking suit, and it does have a plastic look to it, but again, it works well enough. And as you can see, it's a pretty darn good looking style for our friend Cyborg. And if you saw my Reign of the Superman video, you saw that I used some of that style for Cyborg Superman and for Steel. And again, we can use the opalescent material if we want to have a unified look everywhere. Like if we want to have the very same color throughout the whole style. And again, it looks really nice with the character. Obviously, our friend Cyborg shouldn't have the emissive eyes, like the red glowing eye, but I thought it kind of looked cool enough. But without the eye, it still looks good enough. And here, obviously, it is with the shimmer material. So again, if the opalescent material is too difficult to get, the shimmer material should be simple enough to get for pretty much anyone. And where can you get the Cyborg style? Let's take a look. So you can get the Cyborg style from our old friend, the Titans equipment supplier. The style is called Bionic when you look on the styles tab.
Each
But
piece of enhanced battle armor is available in multiple combat roles and customizable colors.
but on the vendor, it's actually called the Enforcer's style. So you can see the Enforcer's mechanized shoulder pads, the Enforcer's mechanized vest. So this is actually the Cyborg style. And of course, there's the DPS version. And if you scroll a bit further down, you'll have the controller version. Or if you're a healer, you'll have the healer version. Or if you're a tank, you'll have the tank version. And you can see the price for the style. Although next week, right now the style requires Titan's Cred, but next week the Titan's Cred will be replaced by source marks. So the Titan's Cred, so next week I assume instead of 32 Titan's Cred, it'll be 32 source marks. We'll take a look again next week. I'll probably take a look at this vendor again next week once the Titan's Cred becomes source marks. For those of you maybe interested about a bit of history about the character, basically I discovered this character all the way back in the early 80s. I think it was 1982 when I first saw the Teen Titans comic. And Cyborg was one of the original character in the comic, along Starfire, Raven. Yeah, actually, it was his first appearance. The same with Starfire, Raven, and I forget there's probably someone else I forget to mention. And there was also Beast Boy, which at the time became Changeling. There was Robin, there was Kid Flash, and again I might be Wonder Girl. I knew I was forgetting someone. But Cyborg was a brand new character at the time. It was pretty darn awesome from the get-go. You could see that he was a bit tortured from being an evil cyborg. Nah, he wasn't evil, but from becoming like he used to be an athlete, and then at the time he couldn't be an athlete anymore. So he was, let's say, a bit disappointed. Like his whole life was to be an athlete, and now that was gone. So what was he left with? So you could see the struggle that the character had from not being able to be who he was meant to be, and having to discover who he was now that he was half man, half machine. And there was a great scene in the early run of the Teen Titans where at some point you see a cyborg walking down the street, feeling sorry for himself because he was a monster in his eyes. And then he received this baseball on I think on the head or something, and then you see this little kid who comes to him and he tries to give him back the ball, but then he realizes that, holy crap, the kid will probably think I'm a monster. But then the kid becomes all excited from seeing his metallic hand. And at first Cyborg doesn't understand because and then the kid takes off his baseball mitt and shows him that he too has a prosthetic hand. And so for the kid seeing Cyborg with his robotic hand, for him it's all kinds of cool because the robotic hand is so much cooler than the plastic hand that the little kid has. And then Cyborg becomes a friend with Sarah Sims, who was the teacher of a whole group of students who were all disabled. They all had some sort of prosthetics, and then that made him stop feeling sorry for himself and starting to see how actually lucky he was to be who he was. And it didn't happen all in that comic. There was pretty much a whole not really a whole storyline, but throughout the progression of the Teen Titans comic, you saw the evolution of Victor Stone going from the guy who felt sorry for himself because he was no longer an athlete and he was no longer a man in his eyes, until he accepted who he was, the new him at the time. So it was a pretty powerful comic. The Teen Titans, if you ever get the chance to read the Teen Titans, the new Teen Titans comic, from issue 1 at least until issue 50. I think issue 50 was the wedding of Donna Troy. That is an awesome Teen Titans run. If you ever get the chance to read that run, there's some awesome Teen Titans comic in there. You can't go wrong with those comics, and that is how I discovered our friend Cyborg originally. And it was an awesome comic. The characters in the comic were awesome, and Cyborg especially was a really strong character in that comic. Later on, they tried to add him to the Super Friends. It didn't really work. You could see that he was tacked on only to be part of the Super Friends, and sadly, history is a way of repeating itself. When they had we saw Cyborg there was the Teen Titans cartoon with Cyborg, then there was Teen Titans Go with Cyborg, but then again with the New 52 they decided to double down, and they decided to repeat the mistakes from the past, and they decided to have Cyborg being a member of the Justice League, and they repeated that very same mistake with the Justice League movie, which is a bit disappointing because Cyborg is a member of the Teen Titans. So right now they have the Teen Titans TV show, and they don't even have Cyborg in the TV show. And Cyborg was such a strong character in that show, and somehow he ended up in the Doom Patrol. So it's a weird. It's sadly a character that it's an awesome character it was an awesome character when he was created. He was awesome within the pages of the Teen Titans as the comic evolved. Sadly, as years went by, they were so desperate to try to have diversity in the Justice League that they really mismanaged this character, sadly. And right now, they pretty much ruined any chances we had of having Cyborg either in the Teen Titans TV show, or even better, if someday they ever make a Teen Titans movie, will they have Cyborg in it, or will they decide that, oh well, Cyborg was in the Justice League movie, we cannot have him in the Teen Titans movie? It's a bit sad, but what can you do? So anyway, so a lot of rambling to mention that Cyborg was an awesome character, and somehow he's been a bit mismanaged in the past few years. Hopefully, at some point, they will do a good job managing the character again. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. So that's pretty much it for now, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to ask so in the comment section down below, and I'll see what I can do about answering your questions. So as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.